See if this is working. Do. Hey everybody, how are you all doing? It's working, excellent. How are you doing? It's me. And also, how are you doing, Wolfenstein? Hello, Josh Rowe. Hello, Cat Hermit. Can you see me and hear me? Is it all going all right? Trying to get your sister into some horror movies. Ooh, is she just not a horror movie person normally? Because that could be hard if they're not into horror movies normally. Hey, Lucas. See you and hear me great. Excellent. 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 It's a little bare bones at the moment because I'm just testing to see if this stuff all works together. And it appears to be, so that's good. Normally, yeah, not a fan. At that point, I would probably start, if there's something else that she's normally into, try to find the horror version of that, and it might lure her in. I find that tends to work. Like if someone's really into like fantasy, find like a horror / fantasy thing, and that might, suck them in. Like if they're really into fantasy, show them Castlevania, something like that. Visiting a friend tomorrow. I'm going to show her Sleepaway Camp for the first time. Ooh. Oh, now that's a classic. There's aspects of that movie that haven't aged very well, but I still love it. Nothing much, GL Knight. How you doing? Vampires? Ooh, there you go. If she likes vampires, that's your in. Show her some classic fun vampire movies. We're talking like the Near Darks, the Lost Boys, Fright Nights, stuff like that, and she'll probably, start to see the appeal. How are the kitties? They are really upset right now because both Jack and the Countess are out at the moment. So the cats are like, oh, woe is me. Where are they? Where are they? We're going to starve. Even though I am here and I have been feeding them, they're still going to pretend like they've never eaten all night. The Black Phone's a good movie. Ooh, Tragedy Girls. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Oh man, I have not sat down and binged through The Bear yet, but I did watch the first 2 episodes and that show looks phenomenal. I can't wait to really dig into it. I've been hearing good things about it for a while now. It's just, there's so much to watch these days. It's hard to find the time for it all. Got a new horror movie called Trapped Alive from 1993. I've never heard of that movie. Huh. Does it have anyone in it or anyone involved in it that I might know? The cat's names are Gomez, because he's a tuxedo cat, and Comet, because he used to be owned by our old landlord before he passed away, and he was really into trains, so he named Comet after a comet train, which I'm not actually familiar with what type of train that is, but I just know that he was named after a train. She liked Vivitch and Suspiria. Oh, if she likes those, then she's probably halfway there. You just got to push her over the edge with some really good ones. Also, when you say Suspiria, is it the old one or the new one? Because if she likes the new one, then she's definitely gonna love horror in the long run. If she likes the old one, then you can probably show her some more Italian stuff like that, and she might like it. But the new one is so intense and so fucked up. She's got a little gorehound in her already, and she doesn't realize it. You just saw the cover and said you needed this? Ah, yeah, I get that. I do that all the time. Yeah, our old landlord was like super awesome. He was this old queer guy who had been here since the 60s, and he had all these stories from back in the day. Like we're talking a guy who was alive in the old civil rights era fighting for queer rights and stuff, and he was a really cool guy. He did not raise our rent for like 20 years. um, because he was just that kind of guy. And yeah, it was really sad when he passed. And we took in Comet because Comet's so used to living here, it felt weird to have him go someplace else. She walked away from Dr. Giggles. Well, okay, to be fair, Dr. Giggles has a couple things going for it that the non-horror fan might not be interested in. Number one, anytime you're dealing with medical horror, that might trigger some people's squicks. Like the dentist and Dr. Giggles, those anyone who has any sort of like hesitation about dealing with medical stuff might not like that. And beyond that, Dr. Giggles is also an extremely cheesy horror movie. And so if you're not quite into the cheese yet, it might turn you off. I love it though. Dr. Giggles is a classic. Got your Audible credit for the month, and I've been looking for a new audiobook. Recommending Nosferatu. Ooh, Nosferatu is a great book. It's one of the rare, more recent books. Recent. It's probably like 10 years old now, but it's one of the more rare books that I've actually sat down and read because I haven't been reading books for a while. Subspecies. Oh, there you go. Still need to see the new Suspiria since I'm a Mia Goth. Yeah, if you like Mia Goth, you should check out the new Suspiria. It's pretty good. It's different than the original one in tone, but in spirit, I actually think it's a pretty good remake. It kind of combines some ideas from some of the other Mother trilogy films too, while still doing its own thing. Gotta love that. Not a fan of gore? Yeah, then stick to the more fun, less gory stuff, and you'll probably be all right. Rumpelstiltskin. Oh crap! I haven't seen that movie in so long. I remember it not being particularly good, but I don't remember regretting renting it back in the day. The ending is nuts in Suspiria. Yeah, that's true. What are my favorite remakes? I've been thinking about this for a while because I've been trying to think of like ways to like boost views on the channel. And I was like, well, I could do like a series of like top 10 lists. But the problem is every time I sit down and try to like nail down 10 movies in any given genre or category, I always end up with 50 movies and then not sure which ones I should cut out. And then I end up giving up and like moving on to a different thing for a while. So top 10, like my favorite horror remakes, I don't know. Obviously there are the classics like The Thing, The Blob, and The Fly, which I love. The remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers in the 70s is pretty damn good. Evil Dead from a couple years ago and Maniac from a couple years ago, I love those. The Hills Have Eyes from the 2000s, like that was a pretty good remake. I like that. A hidden gems type video. I've thought of that. The struggle with doing any sort of like hidden gems video is making sure they're truly hidden gems and not movies that everyone's already talked about. Because like something that gets really irritating is every time you like click on a video and it's like top 10 movies you've never heard of and you've seen all of them. And I don't want to cause anyone to have to go through that experience. Oh, yeah. The Crazies was a pretty good remake. Okay, obviously something just dinged, but I don't know what because I don't have my things set up for that yet. So whoever caused that ding, thank you. I don't know what it was for. I still have to set all that stuff up. Are there any horror movies you think deserves a remake or reboot? Ooh, I honestly don't know. Like, I tend to lean on it'd be really cool to see movies that had a cool idea get remade in a better way. Like a movie that recently happened with Malum. Malum, which is a remake of Last Shift, which is a movie that I really liked up until the end of the movie. So they remade it and they improved upon the ending and they made a much better movie. And I would love to see more remakes like that. But off the top of my head, I'm not sure which movies that would qualify for or what movies would qualify for that. Of Unknown Origin. Oh shit, I don't know if I've seen that movie. I've heard the title before, but I don't know if I've seen Of Known Origin. Of Unknown Origin. Oh yeah, he was a great guy, our old landlord. We've been in mourning for the past year ever since he passed. Plus, we've been having to deal with like construction on the apartment building and all that stuff since he left as the new owners are starting to come in, and it's been a headache. It's also why there's been like a lack of non-vlog videos this past like 2 years as we've been dealing with all this shit. Have you seen Blood Diner? Yes, Blood Diner's great. Wishmaster's fun. I like Wishmaster. Oh man, yes, Nightbreed. I see. Here's the thing: I don't want a movie remake of Nightbreed. I want a Nightbreed television show given a decent budget and being made by queer creators. That's what I want out of Nightbreed, but I don't know if that will ever actually happen. They've been teasing a project like that for like 2 decades now, and nothing has come of it yet. And I hope that one day it does, because I think Nightbreed and Cabal, the book it's based on, are just ripe for like a TV show or a streaming show, as it were. Peter Weller flick? Ooh, I'll have to check it out. Guy trying to flip an old building and he goes up against hyper-intelligent rats. Now that sounds like a masterpiece. I'll obviously have to see this now. Thanks for introducing me to the Slumber Party Massacre franchise. Oh man, I'm glad to have introduced you to that. Those movies they're fun. I actually rewatched Slumber Party Massacre 2 the other day because I was just in a bad mood and I needed a comfort film. Those movies are so fun. They're dumb as hell, but I love them. And those are some of the old videos I made that I'm actually still pretty proud of, except for one thing. There's one thing about those old Slumber Party Massacre videos that grates on my nerves to this very day, and that's this. The second movie is directed by a woman named Deborah Brock, but I spent that entire 30-minute video calling her Deborah Brock, like she was a villain on Dragon Ball Z. I don't know why. I don't know why it didn't click to me that I was mispronouncing the name the entire goddamn time until we got the video uploaded. But to this day, it irritates me. Did you see the new found footage movie on Shudder, Home Movie? I haven't seen a new one on Shudder called Home Movie, but I did watch the movie from the early 2000s that was a found footage movie called Home Movie, and I really like that one. I'll have to check out this new Shudder one if it's a different movie. If it's the same movie, then I did like that movie with the creepy kids. The Warlock series, Cast a Deadly Spell, Witch Hunt. Oh man, those 90s / late 80s witchcraft movies, Warlock and stuff like that. Oh man, I miss that subgenre. I wish someone would bring them back. TCM is your comfort flick? Oh yeah, hell yeah. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is great. Though I would probably lean on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as a comfort flick for me. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a perfect comfort movie. There you go. Yeah, I can totally see that. Killer Clowns, Night of the Creeps, any of those 80s horror movies that are also 50s flashback movies, those all seem to just really work as comfort movies for me. Have you seen The Pope's Exorcist? Actually, yes. I've been trying to get Jack to watch it so that we could vlog it, but I did watch The Pope's Exorcist. And my feelings on that movie are complicated. I actually thoroughly enjoyed the movie, but the movie is 100% blatant Catholic propaganda. It's so in your face with it that it's kind of hilarious. Like the point where they try to like shrug off the Spanish Inquisition as like the church being possessed by a demon, and that's why they killed all those innocent people. And I'm just like, oh, come on. That's some whitewashing bullshit right there. That being said, the movie is way more entertaining than it has any right to be. And the actual character of the Pope's Exorcist is so fun to watch in that movie. I thoroughly enjoyed that performance. And I also like that as an Exorcist movie, it goes in a direction that is way more bombastic than they normally go. Demons, that's a good comfort horror movie. Yeah. Candyman and Hellraiser, ooh. I'm not sure if I would put them in the comfort category, but I can see how they could be. Oh yeah, it's in the part when they're in the basement and they're like discovering all the hidden chambers, and he starts like talking about the history of the demon and the conquistadors that used to own that monastery. It's it's pretty goofy, but like I said, that movie's more entertaining than it has any right to be. Matilda is 100% child friendly, Carrie. You are correct. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Oh yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, well, The Conjuring I also put in a very similar category as propaganda films, though in that case it's less Catholic propaganda and more propaganda for specifically the two con artists that they're centering those movies around. Though the first Conjuring is a pretty solid movie, and I like parts of the second one. Not a fan of that third one, but it is what it is. Return of the Killer Tomatoes, also a good one. The Church, yeah. The Church. Oh man, I love The Church. It's got some of my favorite just random ass creepy imagery in it. The plot is a little hard to follow in that movie, though you can follow it, but the imagery in it is fucking gorgeous. It's like straight up like 18th century paintings every frame of that movie. I could see Tombs of the Blind Dead being remade today. You'd have to have like a really interesting angle on it, but I can totally see that. Rubber! I know that movie is just complete nonsense, but I love that movie's nonsense. I didn't even know Attack of the Killer Donuts existed, but thanks for the warning, Waluigi. You jumped ship after the first Conjuring film? That was probably for the best. That was probably for the best, to be honest. The second one's weird because it's got some really great moments, but then like half of the movie feels like it's set up for the Conjuring universe that they would make later. And I don't know. I wasn't sure if I was really on board on the idea of creating an entire cinematic universe out of two con artists like fake history. Sweeney Todd. Ooh, I love Sweeney Todd. That's a good choice. Yeah, those Annabelle films, like they have their moments. Definitely. Deadball. Ooh. 1992 Ghost Watch is worth a watch. I believe I have seen that. That's the one where it's like where like it's presenting itself as real, but it's not actually real, right? It's like a fake documentary kind of situation. Because I think I have seen that, but I think I saw that like 15 years ago or something. It's the UK's War of the Worlds and upset so many people. Okay, so it does sound like it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, exactly. Those movies make the Warrens come across as Christian superheroes, but they're really con artists. Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. I was willing to roll with that for a little while, but by the time we got to the third movie, I was kind of done with it. I was like, okay, all right. Yeah, I get it. You guys are Christian superheroes, but like can we like can we move on to something else? Like I was so glad when James Wan moved on and made Malignant and moved away from The Conjuring for a little while. I have been seeing the trailer for the new Insidious. I'm probably going to check it out when it comes out. The Insidious movies are a little up and down for me. I really loved the first one. I thought the second one was a mess, and I enjoyed the third one. And my brain is now trying to remember if there was a fourth one or if this is the fourth one. Or was there like a spin-off? I feel like there was a spin-off at one point of Insidious that I'm forgetting. God. I've been seeing so many movies over the past few years. It's hard to keep track of everything. People Under the Stairs remake. Okay, I can see remaking that movie because I think that the ideas in that movie are still relevant today. So updating the People Under the Stairs for the modern age would actually be a really cool thing. But I would definitely want people from those kinds of neighborhoods to actually be the ones to make it. I don't want to see it from another middle class white perspective. I want to see an actual person who grew up in the projects making a movie that is a remake of that. The kind of like the same way they remade Candyman, where you actually got to see Candyman from a black creator's perspective as opposed to filtered through two British white men. Oh man, the director of The Angry Girl and Her Monster. I could totally see that. I could totally see her doing that. Yeah. Or is it a he? I actually don't know if the director is a he or she on that. I should have looked it up. Whoever directed that movie, they'd be a good choice. Gabriel! Yes, Gabriel from Malignant is indeed baby. The Stuff remake. Ooh, that could be cool. That could be pretty cool. Like, you could definitely update the stuff for, like, the social media age. Jordan Peele, People Under the Stairs. I mean, it doesn't have to be Jordan Peele. It could be someone else or someone like him producing it. But yeah, I would want someone who's actually like connected to that world as opposed to seeing it from another middle class white perspective. Skeleton Key. Oh man. That's the movie from like 2004, I think. I remember that movie. That movie was a lot better than people gave it credit for at the time. Bomani J Story. Okay. All right. I probably mispronounced his name and I apologize. I'm really terrible with pronunciation most of the time. Hell, half the reason I started like cutting the vlogs up a bit so that you could like so that like I could it was not just to like cut like the lulls. It was also so that like if I needed to look something up, I could cut it out and make sure I was delivering the right information because I got really tired. This is something that would happen with every vlog undeniably. Either I or Jack would say something definitively that would turn out to not be true that I wouldn't find out until the vlog came out and I got a million comments about it. And I always felt bad every time that would happen. So I started like cutting the vlogs up so that I could like hide when I have to like look something up to make sure I'm getting the information correctly. Or also to like cut out the 20-minute like conversations that go in a completely different direction and we're no longer talking about the movie anymore. And puns. Oh, hey John, how you doing? Hello, Avalon. Oh man, the guy who did his house, he'd be a great choice. Make mistakes on purpose, drive the engagement. Sometimes I will leave stuff in that I know will drive the engagement because it'll just irritate people. That's true. Definitely Decostro. And I apologize if I mispronounce that name, but definitely, like sometimes it's hard to tell what to take out. My main thing is I don't want people to get bored while watching it. So like I pay close attention when I upload a vlog to the completion rate on it, like how many people watch it all the way through. And there's always going to be a dip at the spoiler warning. But when people start dipping out before the spoiler warning, or if the people that stay past the spoiler warning start dipping out halfway through the spoiler section, then I know that there's something that's probably boring them or causing people to be disinterested in the rest of the video. So I've been trying to be more cognizant of that with the more recent vlogs. It's also why I put like music and things like that into the vlogs now, because it just makes it easier to watch. I haven't actually been watching much horror anime lately, but if you have recommendations, I'm always looking for new stuff to watch. RPG books. Okay, 90% of these books on these shelves are Jack's wife's, the countesses. Yeah, exactly, John. Jack taking 20 minutes to talk about something unconnected to the subject? Unbelievable. Exactly. Exactly. I have thought about cutting some of those sections up when he goes on like a like 20-minute tangent and like uploading it as like an exclusive on Patreon or something. But sometimes like sometimes I don't want to upload it just because like Jack will go on some sort of rant and I just don't want that energy on my channel. Phantasm could be remade as a streaming series. Yeah, I could see that. Phantasm's a hard one to imagine remaking though, because so much of what makes Phantasm Phantasm really is from the people who made it. It's their nightmares, it's their dream logic that make that series the way it is. Count Jacula out of context. My favorite thing that he likes to do sometimes is I'll have at the end of the vlogs we have those moments where we go over our socials, right? Like I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, yada 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 yada. He will always forget what he's doing halfway in the middle of doing that and then just start going off on a rant about something, either like some sort of political thing that's happening or something he read earlier that day that pissed him off. I don't know why. It's like he forgets what his socials actually are, and so he tries to compensate by giving himself buffer time to remember what they are by going on a rant. And so I end up every time cutting it out of the video because it usually just makes the video lag when it doesn't need to. But it's always hilarious because I'm just like, why is he going on a rant about Trump when he's supposed to be like telling us what his TikTok is? What are your favorite Ozzy Osbourne songs to listen to on Halloween? Hellraiser. Hellraiser is one of my favorite Ozzy Osbourne songs. Um, Bloodbath in Paradise, which is a morbid one, but I'm a big fan of Bloodbath in Paradise. Let's see, Halloween specifically. Mr. Crowley's a pretty good go-to for Halloween time. I like that one. Mailman, Murder Comes Through the Slot. I'd watch that movie. Yeah, I liked how the Pope's Exorcist turned into a buddy cop movie at the end. In fact, it's one of those I'm on the fence about it because again, it is very much a Catholic propaganda film, but there's this part of me that kind of wants to see more buddy cop movies with those two. They were just so entertaining to watch. Hello, Rachel. Rant, rant, rant. Yeah, I totally liked exactly. Rob Zombie can remake a TCM remake. Okay, I actually, for the longest time, have had this very specific opinion, and that's this: Rob Zombie shouldn't have been given Halloween. Halloween was just not the property that makes sense for Rob Zombie. The property that makes sense for Rob Zombie is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but by the time he had made a name for himself as a director and they started giving them those projects, they had already remade Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I say this, the movie that Rob Zombie should have been given the remake for and that Rob Zombie would knock out of the goddamn park, Funhouse. Rob Zombie should remake Funhouse. And tell me I'm wrong. Because I swear to fuck that would be pitch perfect for him. You mean Jack Goes on Ranch? Shocked. I know. Shocker. I like his Halloween movies too. And I like that in the past few years they've started getting a lot more respect than they initially got. I just wish it wasn't at the expense of the other Halloween movies that have been coming out. Like, I don't know why. It's like whenever there's a new thing, people have to turn around and like the old thing all of a sudden. And I'm really tired of that pattern. It's just like, come on, guys. Can we just not be dicks for a while? Exactly, GL Knight. Give him another Toby Hooper movie. Rob Zombie could remake the Beverly Hillbillies. That would be interesting. He would have been good for Hills Have Eyes too, though I did like the Aja remake of Hills Have Eyes. Have you seen From Black? Actually, funny enough, From Black is going to be the next vlog, but it's probably not going to come out for a couple days because we've got this whole 4th of July weekend thing happening. So it probably won't come out until like Monday or something. Old thing better than new thing. New thing is terrible and not old thing until it becomes the old thing. Got you there. Can we get a Cellar Dweller remake? I would fucking kill to see someone do a decent budgeted Cellar Dweller remake. That would be awesome. Especially if they layer in all of the gore. Rob Zombie doing Creature of the Black Lagoon. Okay. Here's the thing. The guy I would want to make Creature of the Black Lagoon kind of already did his own version of it, and that's Guillermo del Toro. Basket. Okay, here's the thing about a Basket Case remake. Malignant is probably the closest thing we'll get to that. Malignant is the remake of Basket Case we're probably going to get. And, I'm cool with that. A Motel Hell remake by Rob Zombie. That would be interesting. Rob Zombie needs to remake Spookies. I would love to see anyone try to remake Spookies and like turn it into something like legitimately good. I'm actually surprised Eli Roth hasn't tried to remake Pieces. It's like his favorite movie of all time. And if you ever get like a second of him talking about his favorite movies, it always comes up. That and the original Mother's Day, but they already actually remade that with the dude who did Saw 2. Darren Lynn Bousman remade Mother's Day. Rob Zombie's House by the Cemetery. You know what? The funny thing is, there's actually a lot of House by the Cemetery in House of a Thousand Corpses. Like, if you think about the whole Dr. Satan twist in that movie, it's very House by the Cemetery. Rob Zombie's Things. All right, there we go. We have a winner. An Intruder remake. I'm actually surprised that Raimi hasn't tried to do that. Like, he's been remaking movies and like with his own production company. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to like have someone remake Intruder. Oh, you should definitely check out Basket Case 2 and 3 if you like the first one. They get weirder and more goofy, but I love those sequels. Christopher Walken versus Sammy Kerr. Any thoughts? I mean, is this a dance off or a fight? If it's a dance off, Christopher Walken wins. If it's a fight, it's anyone's game. There's literally a House by the Cemetery and House of a Thousand Corpses. You are correct. There is literally one. I like to see Rob Zombie and Sherry Moon play themselves in a movie, even if they're just doing cameos. I think I said this on Twitter once, but I kind of want a movie where Jason Momoa and Margot Robbie play Rob Zombie and Sherry Moon in something. Like if it's like a biopic or just anything in which they show up as a cameo in, I think that'd be cool. Frankenhooker or Brain Damage? Now, personally, I fucking love Brain Damage. It's my favorite Frank Henenlotter film, but there is an argument to be made about Frankenhooker, which is pretty great in its own right. Why hasn't anyone tried to remake Darkman? I'm not sure. Honestly, it might be because even Raimi started making like actual comic book movies, and maybe there was like no point in continuing Darkman at that point. That's the only thing I could think of. They were always like cult movies to begin with. A Mask remake or TV series. Okay, so an adaptation of The Mask that is more like the fucked up tone of the original comic is something I would love to see, but I can't imagine anyone ever making it. You have a generation that is way too attached to the Jim Carrey version, and then you have the fact that that comic is super fucked up. Little Nicky versus Sammy Kerr. I'm going to go with Sammy Kerr. I've never been a big fan of Little Nicky, to be honest. You are correct. Sam Raimi did do it perfect. You know, that you're not wrong there. That's true. The Darkman comic and Toxic Avenger. Speaking of which, wasn't there a Toxic Avenger remake like announced like 4 or 5 years ago? Where is it? Did I imagine that? A Frankenhooker remake starring Mia Goth. Oh man, you're cooking with fire there. Or cooking with gas. I don't know phrases. It would be cool to see the director of the Terrifier movies take a crack at the Mask movie. He could probably nail it, to be honest. As fucked up as the Terrifier movies are, yeah, he could probably hit that tone pretty well. Oh, it's stuck in development hell? That explains it. A Savage Dragon movie? All right. Peter Dinklage is playing Melvin? Okay. All right. I'm cool with Dinklage. You're cooking with nuclear fusion. Dear God, stop. Stop. I love it. Oh, man. What is your favorite Johnny Depp slash Tim Burton movie? Johnny Depp, probably Ed Wood, to be honest. I love all of their collaborations, even Sleepy Hollow, as much of a mess as that movie is. But I think Ed Wood is probably my favorite collaboration between the two of them. I know. I was looking forward to that Devil in the White City movie. Oh, wow. Rob Zombie remakes Terrorvision. Class of Nukem High, Home Economics. Oh, yeah. The original test footage of Jim Carrey. Yeah. I remember seeing that. Favorite 80s slasher film? Hmm. What one's my absolute favorite? Not sure off the top of my head. I'd have to think about that. Thank you, Sherry. Or is it Jimmy? Or is it Sherry Jimmy? Or is it not Sherry and I'm mispronouncing it? But thank you anyway. Thank you. I'm glad you like the channel. Johnny Depp as Ed Wood in drag confused my little brain in the best ways. Yeah, I could see that. Rob Zombie's remake of Poultrygeist? Okay. All right. What's happening here? Rob Zombie world is taking over. Which is your favorite Ginger Snaps movie? The first Ginger Snaps movie. I think the second one's pretty good in its own right. The third movie feels weirdly pointless. It's basically the same movie, just set in the Middle Ages. What one movie do you wish you could revive from production hell? Ooh. God, I'm not sure. Okay, actually, back in the early 2000s, there was a point in time in which Guillermo del Toro and Neil Gaiman went to Marvel to pitch them a Doctor Strange movie. I would love to see Marvel give them a crack at Doctor Strange 3. Rob Zombie remakes chat. Then there's going to be a whole lot more fucking in between each letter. I've been a fan of yours since 2013. The kaiju reviews were your favorite. Well, I've got some good news for you. The next Blood Splattered Cinema, when it finally gets fucking finished, is King Kong versus Godzilla. So you will have another kaiju review, most likely before the end of the year. Hopefully in the next couple months, but every time I promise that, something happens in my life that ends up making me put it on hold for a bit. But hopefully soon. Any recommendations to buy from the Severance sale? They recently had one for Bad Biology, right? That's a good movie. I like that one. Favorite Japanese horror movies? Norai the Curse is one of my favorite ones. Excuse me. My dinner's apparently fighting me. I've always had bad acid reflux my whole life, and you'd think by this point I'd be better at managing it, but it is what it is. Norai the Curse is one of my favorite Japanese horror movies. Audition is another one of my favorite Japanese horror movies. Gojira, the original Godzilla, which I contend is a horror movie. One of my favorite Japanese horror movies. Guillermo del Toro's Mountains of Madness. Oh shit. I might want to change my answer to that one. I forgot about that one. Yes, that would be one I would love to see resurrected. Anyone else happy to hear that Pluto TV now has a channel dedicated to all things Godzilla? Yes, I'm really fucking excited about that. Splatter movies to recommend? Like old ones or newer ones? God, there's so like I feel like half my channel is recommending splatter movies. Suicide Club. Oh, that's a classic. Perfect Blue, another good one. Yeah, the Japanese know how to do their shit. If it's done with the same care as The Road and No Country for Old Men, it would be amazing. Which one are you talking about, Bob? I realize I'm getting to that response late. I want the Godzilla films, but the MS-23K soundtrack, commentary track. Oh, I could see that. That'd be fun. I miss the old MST3K stuff. But then again, some of it's still available. I forget. One of the streaming channels has a bunch of MST3K. I think it's the free version of the Shout Factory app has a bunch. Godzilla versus Biolante. Oh, that's one of my favorite ones. Slither is a fun movie. Hausu. Oh man. Gotta love that weird shit. You know what makes a great double feature? Hausu and Cemetery Man. Just something about the vibes of those two movies work well together. The original One Missed Call, yes. The original One Missed Call was a Takashi Miike film. And it's funny that they remade it into a PG-13 movie here. What a weird choice. Hello, Nicole. Godzilla versus his existential crisis. There you go. Have you seen Project Wolf Hunting? Yes, I have. In fact, there is a vlog for that movie in my channel. So you can go check out my thoughts on it there. I listened to the audiobook after Wide Goon video. That book is brutal. It's pretty much a horror movie. Okay. What is my favorite Steve Martin movie? Ooh. Tempted to say Little Shop of Horrors, but here's the important question. When you say Steve Martin movie, do you mean Steve Martin as lead actor or Steve Martin as supporting actor or both? Because if it's supporting actor, it's probably Little Shop of Horrors. If it's lead actor, I'd have to think about that. Though, side note, if you haven't watched the show Only Murders Left in the Building, I highly recommend it. It's like a Three Amigos reunion, but without the asshole amigo. When a stranger calls versus no one missed call. Yeah, I get that. I can see how your brain would do that. I can see that. It's all right, Jedi. It happens to the best of us. Steve Martin as a lead actor. All right, I'm just gonna have to look up Steve Martin's filmography and see which one jumps out at me as like, oh yeah, that's the one. Let's take a look here. The Jerk is a pretty good one. Three Amigos, pretty good one. Let's see what we got here. Leap of Faith, that's a good one. Alrighty. Parenthood, pretty good movie. Let's see. Hmm. Oh, here we go. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Yeah, that's the one. There we go. I knew there was an obvious one that my brain was not remembering. All right, there we go. Question answered. The Man with Two Brains, nice. Your friend only recently learned the difference between Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. That's funny. Underrated horror movies. Here's why that question's hard to answer these days. Every movie I would have called underrated has become like reappraised in the years since. So I don't know what movie's truly underrated anymore. House on Haunted Hill and The Haunting. I could totally see why that would happen. Yeah. Dead Silence. That's a good one. Michael J. Fox movies. Yeah, I think you kind of answered it in your tweet. The Frighteners is my favorite Michael J. Fox movie, which is, answers both of your questions. Rob Zombie remaking Trick or Treat 1986. I would see that. A guy I actually think would make a great remake of Trick or Treat 1986 is the guy who directed that movie on Mayhem, the music video director who was also a black metal musician himself. And he directed, what's the name of that movie? With the Culkin brother about the Mayhem band and the dude who fucking stabbed his bandmates. The guy who made that movie would make a fucking killer Trick or Treat remake. You trumped all Rob Zombie remakes forever. Care Bears, I think you win. Yeah, I think you win. The Innocents is a good one. Yeah. Psycho 3. I'm a big fucking defender of Psycho 2 in particular. Lords of Chaos, that's the movie. Bam, nailed it. There you go. I just rewatched this movie like 3 weeks ago, and of course the fucking title escapes my brain. Favorite movie from the Conjuring universe? Probably the first Conjuring, to be honest. Trick or Treat, not Trick or Treat or Trick or Treats. I'm pretty sure I've done a video on at least 2 of those. Lords of Chaos, the book it's based on. Yeah. Well, here's the thing about the Lords of Chaos book and that movie. There's a lot of things the movie and the book get technically wrong. But here's my stance on that. Fuck that band. Fuck those guys. I don't care. The movie's entertaining. How's my day? My day's pretty good. I basically spent most of the day editing, and then I did some laundry. And then when Jack and Linda decided to go out, I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can try setting up a stream. Now, the next time I do a test, I need to try to set up a stream with the new camera, but I first got to get a mount for it. Otherwise, I can't. I have no way to put it here. But that's basically my day. It's been all right. I'm a little underslept though, so maybe I'll go to bed early tonight. Spree. Spree's a great movie. I think underrated probably does it does qualify as underrated, but I think the bigger problem is that it's underseen. More people need to see Spree. That movie's just so much fun. Monster Squad's a great example of a movie that was underrated when it came out and is now so reappraised. I don't know if it qualifies anymore. Also, word to the wise, if you have acid reflux, don't have Mexican food right before a stream. You may end up fucking choking on yourself. ah. Yeah, that Eddie Murphy bit is one of the more classic uh, sketches in relation to uh, black people in horror movies. But what I find really funny is we've actually had a lot of horror movies recently that have proved that no, they will stay in the bad house just as much as anyone else. We have a lot of Jordan Peele produced movies to thank for that. What underrated movie is now overrated in your opinion? Oh, that's a really interesting question. Probably Jennifer's Body. Like that was a movie that was super underrated when it came out. Then it found its audience, and now it's a movie that everyone talks about, but I've never been really one with it. Which is weird because there's a lot of movies like it that I really love. I love Ginger Snaps. I love Tragedy Girls. I love a lot of movies that are similar to it, but for some reason, Jennifer's Body itself never clicked. So at this point, I think it might be a little overrated. I think a lot of its contemporaries are better. Possession's a great example. Super underrated movie that barely anyone heard about back in the day. Only really seen by like true art house fans who also happen to like horror movies. And thanks to Shudder, it's now a cult classic that has become just a straight up classic for a lot of people. No longer underrated, now just getting the respect it deserves. The funny thing about Jennifer's Body, though, is that I'm actually a really big Diablo Cody fan. I like all of her movies, and I like her TV show, but something about Jennifer's Body just never clicked for me. Like, it's weird. I feel like the movie should be gorier than it is. Does that make sense? The Loved Ones. I love The Loved Ones. Blackula? Oh, yeah, that's a classic. Vampire in Brooklyn. My thoughts on Vampire in Brooklyn is that what happened behind the scenes explains the entire movie. So you have Eddie Murphy who wants to break out of doing comedy by doing a serious horror movie. You have Wes Craven who wants to break out of doing horror movies by doing a straight up comedy. The two of them combined to make a movie that is confused at what it wants to be. That's a Vampire in Brooklyn. And the thing is that the horror comedy thing can totally work. Vampire in Brooklyn's just a movie that I don't think found its right balance. Though it has some awesome moments. Anytime the Renfield of that movie shows up, I love that character. Fool from People Under the Stairs is amazing in that movie. Yes, Fool is great. One of the best leads in a Wes Craven movie, in my opinion. Tales from the Hood's a classic. Yeah. Oh, Sugar Hill. Yeah. The Death of the Stunt Woman. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, Possession was the Sam Neill movie. You are correct. Angela Bassett nailed the assignment. Yes, she's great in that movie. Oh, My Soul to Take. I actually heard some people trying to reappraise My Soul to Take. I'm not buying it. That movie's just bad, in my opinion. Ozzy Osbourne's most Halloween themed album? Um, not sure, to be honest. Anyway, my fellow Gorehounds, I think I'm going to wrap up this stream for now. Jack and Linda should be coming home soon, and it's going to be loud in here. So, with that means streaming's not a good idea. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this stream, and thank you for coming in and helping me test out my microphone camera setup here. And yeah, peace out, everyone, and have a good night.